Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. This is our first painting of 2021, so welcome, and I'm looking forward to painting this one. It's going to be a fun one. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey everybody.
He's managed to chat for our live show today, so if you've got questions while I'm painting, you can ask them and I'll try to answer. Let's get started. Alrighty, so we're going to be painting the sand dune. I'm going to be using a 9x12 inch canvas. This is the Fredrix mixed media canvas boards. There's kind of the new one that I've switched out. I used to use their linen boards, but this one is a new product of theirs, and I really like it. It's smooth like the linen boards, but it's more porous. You can use watercolor on it as well, so I really like it. Let's go over our brushes really quick. I've got a few different brushes. For the sand dunes, we're going to want some sort of a fan brush for the grasses. And then you're going to want for the sky, I've got, let's see, a 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch blender from the VelvetTouch line, a 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch angle brush. Those will be kind of for the sand dunes themselves. And then also for the grasses, I've got a number 2 script liner. So all the red handled ones are their VelvetTouch from Princeton. This one that I showed briefly was the Dakota from Princeton, the number 3 fan. This is kind of my new favorite fan brush. So I know probably some of you won't have it, but use whatever you've got that's a good fan brush for grasses. Are we doing okay? Mm-hmm. I've got a select Deerfoot that's 3/8 inch for some of the clouds. And then for some of the other sand dune stuff, I'm not really sure if I'm going to use all of these, but I've grabbed a number 4 short Filbert 6 angle bright from the Aspen line of Princeton. All our brushes are Princeton products. They're awesome. They're our brush sponsor, and we really appreciate them for sending us brushes. Summit is the number 6 Filbert here that we'll be using for some of the sand dunes as well. Okay. And thank you to Fredrix, also our canvas sponsor. I wanted to mention both of those. Let's go over our colors. I'm like, what do we do? I haven't done this. I haven't painted in 3 weeks. We had 3 weeks off for Christmas vacation and New Year's. We had family over most of the time. So it was a full house, lots of fun, lots of cookies and puzzles and all kinds of stuff. But since I'm going to be rusty today, I can just tell you right now. We'll see how it goes. I haven't picked up a brush in 3 weeks. So, okay, burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow oxide, cadmium yellow light, cadmium orange, quinacridone magenta, dioxazine purple, light ultramarine blue, and phthalo blue green shade, unbleached titanium, titanium white, zinc white, and gloss glazing liquid. This is the golden glazing liquid that I use. It's got a slow drying extender in it. Not like regular glazing liquid. All right, if you don't have zinc white, you can use the titanium white plus the glazing liquid or plus water. It's just a transparent white, so you just need to thin that down a lot to get it thin enough for the zinc white. Zinc white's a good cloud color. If you do a lot of landscapes, you're going to want zinc white. It's a good one to have in your arsenal. And then the light ultramarine blue is just ultramarine blue plus white, so you don't go run out and buy that unless you're going to be doing a lot of landscapes like I do. I just like to have it because it's a really pretty pre-mixed blue, and it's great for shadows and things like that. All right, let's go into our drawing here. Very minimal drawing. Basically, you just want to have a horizon line that is completely straight. Do not want it crooked in any way. So I'm going to use a ruler to make sure that I get it just nice and straight. And it is between the halfway mark and the third mark. So here's our third, and here's our halfway right here. So if we split the canvas into thirds this way, it would be right about here. And then if we split it in half, it's right about here. So this line is going to be kind of right in between those two. And I'm just going to go straight across with a ruler. And we'll probably want to use some tape or something like that. So if you've got painter's tape, or you can also use the ruler when we get to painting to make sure that we keep that line straight. And then as far as the sand dunes go, we've got a low one here that kind of swoops up like this and back down. And then we've got the water line that's right in here that is grasses are going to be covering that, most of that. We've got the reflection from the sun. I'm going to do that in yellow. Sun, sun, sun. It kind of starts to get whiter as it gets down to the base. We might want to go down a little bit lower with our sand dune just to give us a little bit more room for our water. And then our sun is going to be right in here, just above the horizon line. Kind of the sun kind of starts to smush as it gets close to the horizon, so it's not going to be a perfect circle. And then it just kind of comes back up here this way and comes all the way up here above the horizon line, and the grasses are actually going to go all the way to the top of the canvas. So there's going to be some grasses all the way up in here. And these ones are also going to go up almost halfway on this side. All right, so that's all I'm going to do for drawing. I'm not going to go in too much detail because we're really going to just kind of paint this a little bit more fluidly as we go. Let's grab a large brush. Oh, I forgot to mention this one. This is a large 2-inch Aspen. Definitely going to want something large for the sky. So even if you don't have like the fancy brush that I'm using, you could use a 2-inch foam brush for this, really. You just want something that's going to cover the canvas quickly. Okay, get a little bit of water on your brush, damp but not soaking wet, not dripping. And we're going to pick up some white. Our sky is light, so it's got a lot of white, like a pale blue. It's not a bright blue. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of both the blue, the ultramarine blue, and the phthalo blue. You see how tinted those are? They're like super strong, especially the phthalo blue. So just get a tiny little bit on your brush. You don't need a lot. If you get too much blue, then you're going to end up having to mix up a huge amount of paint. You don't want to have to do that. All right, that looks pretty good there. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and actually going to spray my canvas. What that will do is give it a little bit. It'll soak that water down into the fibers of the canvas. Dry canvas can be hard for that paint to kind of absorb into it at first. So do that. If you're using a regular canvas and not a canvas board, you can even spray the back of the canvas, and that'll make it stay moist even longer. Just gives you a little extra time to blend and work. Okay, so when we get about halfway down, I'm going to grab just white, just the white, and I'm going to start to go across with that. I just want it to get pale as we go down here because we're going to change to yellow, and I don't want that blue and yellow to touch because it's going to make green. I don't want my sky to be green. It has a tiny, maybe a tiny bit of green in there, but not enough to, like it would be really green if we just went straight into the yellow. So that white kind of helps absorb some of that blue. I'm going to get another one of these brushes. Another one right here. Oops, that's an angle, but that's all right. I thought it was regular. No biggie. All right, so getting the white now, and I'm going to get some yellow and some of my orange. And I'm going to mix a really nice sunsetty color, maybe a little bit of the phthalo. There we go, or the quinacridone. Love that. Very pretty. Okay, so I'm going to go right to that edge, that line that we painted. And I'm not worried about it because what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape over that line later. So just go right over the top of it. It doesn't matter. It won't cover it completely because I used a watercolor pencil, so we're still going to be able to see that line. So this canvas is still damp. That blue is still wet. You want to do this quickly so that you have time to kind of blend back up. And look at how pretty that is. And just barely going over there. That white layer has kind of stopped that blue from invading into the orange too much. It's really pretty. Okay, I like that. I'm going to come up just slightly. Just working that wet paint up, but I have not reloaded my brush, so I just have what's left on my brush. That's really important. You don't want a really wet brush going up into this blue. If you had like a bunch of fresh paint on your brush, you would just be depositing it on top and you would make a big mess. So I just started with the orange down here really low where I wanted it more intense, and then slowly blended it up. If it felt like you were just getting too much paint going up high, all you need to do is just wipe your brush off. Wipe that paint off your brush so that you have less paint on here. Don't really pick up water at this point, because if you add water to this canvas right now, it will basically just wash off your paint. So if you're having trouble and it looks like it's drying and it's not, it doesn't seem to be blending for you and it's kind of feeling sticky, just stop. Just stop. It doesn't have to look pretty yet. So just stop, let it dry completely, do it again, do another layer over the top. It'll be fine. And usually the second layer will be better anyway. So, but I just caution that because, especially if you're like this is, a new painting for you and you're not comfortable or used to acrylics yet, they dry really quickly. So, and they get sticky when they're drying. And a lot of times beginners will think, oh, it's sticky, so I need to add water. And then if you do that, it just basically washes your paint right off the canvas. And it can be really, really frustrating. All right, so we're letting that dry. I'm talking while I'm just waiting for it to dry. Let's go ahead and work on the sand dunes here. I'll just go ahead and grab some of this purple color here that I had and a little bit of the brown. I'm going to go ahead and just use this same brush because why not? A little bit of the ultramarine blue and brown. I'm just mixing it into our sky color here. And I'm going to use that on my sand dune right here. It's a nice dark sand dune. And then there's some down here. Go ahead and get a little bit more blue for this middle part here. And this is the shadows that we're doing. So you're like, that sand dune is not this dark. Well, it is in the shadows. So that's what we're painting right now. If you don't get these super darks in, when we go to put our light colors on top, it'll just look flat. So you gotta have this kind of contrast depth. And this is probably not even dark enough. I'm probably gonna have to add it even darker, but I'm just gonna go kind of up here. I'm not gonna go all the way to the top yet, over the top of the sky yet, because I might not be finished with it. Okay. I think I might have, well, let's go ahead and see if we can get the water straight without using a ruler. Wish me luck. I'm going in. Let's see what do I want to use. Let's use a little bit of this orange with the Phthalo blue. I'm still using the sky color. Sky color will affect your water color, so I always like to use a little bit of the same colors in my water. All right, that's good. Let's get a little bit of water because it's been a while since we hydrated our brush. Just a little bit. And this color is a little bit darker than the sky color, so we're going a little bit more intense. That's pretty good. That I even want it a little bit more neutral, so I'm going to get a little bit more of this orange that was over here. Okay, I'm just going to use the edge of my brush. See how I've angled my painting? That helps me stay steady across there.
That's not cheating?
Nope. What's everybody doing today? Did we get the word out that we were back? Did anybody got any of our usual suspects hanging out with us today?
Oh, we have several of our unusual suspects with us.
Yay.
They've come back.
Yay. I was worried they forgot about us.
Yeah, and we got some new first-time viewers also, or live viewers at least.
Yay. Awesome. Welcome.
They survived the New Year's, the holidays.
Yes. We are very, very glad everybody got through the holidays without illness in our house. So, because we did have a lot of family over, but
the first time the family's been together in like
over a year.
Yeah.
Well, really a
All
full
at the
year,
same
a whole
time.
year.
More than a year, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, since last year this time, so yeah. Yeah, so it was long overdue, and my brother and his wife had already had COVID, sadly, so they were okay to be around. And we wore masks for my mom and dad, and thankfully didn't have to, but you never know, so we were careful just in case.
Yeah, we wore masks, and we had the HEPA filters going, 3
Yep.
different ones. And
Yep.
we were able to be outside a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it was good. We needed it. Good to be around family. And we even had my brother that lives in another state, they couldn't come on Zoom the whole day. So Christmas Day, it was awesome. He just walked around. Wherever we went, somebody just took the computer laptop with him, and he was.
he had his own chair up by the bonfire.
Yeah, he did. Yes. We sat him in his laptop in a chair by the bonfire while we were all talking. It was good. It was almost like being there. It was great. And our little grandson Liam turned 2, so we got to celebrate his birthday too. It was really great. All right, I think I'm going to let you take this, honey, and dry it for me because yeah. Sorry. Are you ready for that?
No.
Uh-oh.
First one of 2021.
I know. I did want to mention we're going to be doing a new series for beginners starting on Tuesday night. I have a list of materials that are just kind of basic acrylic supplies on Amazon. So the link to that is down in the description. If you go to my Amazon shop, it will have a art supplies list, just like basic art supplies, which includes basically everything that I have in my studio, just about. And then it's also got a specific list for beginners. It's called Beginners Acrylic Painting Supplies or something like that. And it's got like just the bare minimum things. And some of the things are like duplicates. So there's like paint sets of different types. So I wouldn't like get everything on the list. But if you're looking for ideas of where to start, we'll be using most of the products in that, or some of them at least in that list. I use golden. I get questions about it a lot. I use golden acrylics. The only one that I don't use that's not golden is Liquitex. Their Unbleached Titanium. I just like the color. In golden, the equivalent is Titan Buff, which is a little bit different. It's slightly more gray. So I just like the warmer tone of the Unbleached Titanium. So that's one of the colors of Liquitex that I use. I'm not against other brands. Like I just like the golden paint. So that's it. Use what you've got. And if you're just starting out, I would say Liquitex Basics would be my go-to. That's what I always had my students buy because they come in like multi-packs and lots of colors. And then you can move up to the heavy body acrylics, the thicker, better quality acrylics after that. All right. Here we go. Let's see how we did. I don't feel like that's straight, so I'm pretty sure we're going to need to straighten that out. Oh yeah, it's a little higher on this side than over there. So what I'm going to do is mark it out with the pencil. I'm just going to come up above my lowest spot here. I'm going to mark it with the pencil, and then we're going to tape it, and then I'm going to paint it again. Okay. And I don't really love the color either. I think I got the color a little bit too blue. I want to gray it out a little bit more. All right, so this is just regular painter's tape. It's just really handy to have for something like this, though. Use it for watercolor painting, too. When you're painting on paper, it doesn't tear it. Just regular 3M, whatever, painter's tape, but just making sure that I get that line right there really good and tight down to the canvas. And let me check that again, make sure I got it straight, because it would be horrible if I did all this work and then it was just still not straight. Okay, that's good. We got it straight. All right, so let's grab, now this time I don't have to have my big brush because I'm just doing the water. I'm going to, and make sure that this is dry before you tape onto it, because otherwise you're just going to pop that right off when you tear that tape off. Let me get a little bit of the burnt sienna. Add that to my blue color. My blue was still kind of wet here, so I'm going to go over that line. I'm just going to kind of brush it across the... See how that darker blue is kind of showing through? I want that to happen, so just kind of dry brushing this. Don't have very much paint in my brush. And holding it kind of so that the angle is facing out. And of course, there's going to be highlights coming down the middle of this water, but I want to get this blue in here. It gets lighter as it goes down, but there's definitely some areas where there's dark, dark areas in there. So I'm going to go ahead and get my darker blue again on my brush and just go back in here and add some lines with that maybe over some of these areas where I might have gotten too much of my highlight color. Also up at the top there, it's a little bit more intense, so I'm going to darken that up where the water first hits the horizon. Make sure I've got that dark. Kind of started out with it lighter. Going back to the lighter color. Just back and forth. Now, when the water is this far away up here, we're not going to see individual waves. It's too far away. All we're going to see is little baby lines, like tiny, tiny little lines that are very close together. And as we get down here, we're going to see maybe a few more little ripples and things like that. So you can get a little bit more creative, a little bit larger with your ripples and have some waves. But once you get about halfway up here, this is all going to be way smaller, way too small, way too far away for any major waves. Unless you're talking like tsunami, we're not going to be seeing anything major. Okay, so let's get a little bit more of this light color here. And then I'm going to grab my white and some of the purple or the Quinacridone Magenta and kind of make a little bit of a purplish blue here with it. Maybe a little bit of orange. There we go. A little warm salmon color. Figure out where my sun's going to be, which is going to be kind of right in here in the middle sort of area. And start very slowly right at the top. Adding, kind of go a little bit wider than I think my initial sunlight is going to be. So, and then just kind of zigzag it all the way down, leaving some space for that blue in between, but just kind of starting to mark out where my sunlight is going to come down here. I need to be able to see my painting. Thank you. Is there something wrong?
Turning off the noise gate.
Okay. All right, grabbing some orange now. And yellow, some white. Gonna use that also in here. And you can use whatever brush you want to at this point. You could switch to a bigger brush or smaller brush if you are having trouble controlling this one. So just whatever works for you. You don't have to use this same brush. But I'm mainly just trying to establish area here that's got some brighter highlights. And try to keep my brush strokes zigzagged in a tight area right in here. Okay, and I'm going to get some white, a little bit of yellow. I'm just going to go in, just kind of using the tip of the brush here. This brush is kind of too big, really, for this, but I'm being lazy. All right, there we go. Oops, didn't mean to get that much. Okay, let's go ahead and tear this off. Beautiful, perfect straight line there on the horizon. I'm going to go ahead and darken that up just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and get a little bit of glaze and a little bit of my Quinacridone and Cadmium Orange. And that glaze will just help keep it transparent. I'm going to go along that line there. Just darken that up a little bit. You don't have to do this, but I just feel like it can use a little bit more of an intense color right along that border. And since my blue is on my horizon line is darker than this, I don't have to worry about going over it because it's not gonna affect that color. Not even really gonna show up against it. So again, putting that darker, intense color right along the border there, actually going over, and I'm going to go ahead and pull some of it down into the water too, because you can see some of this color in our water. So let's go ahead and put it, especially around the outside of our highlight area, just a little bit in the water, tinting it. Okay, see that? Now if I got it too much, I can kind of use my finger and rub it out, or I can get a little bit more of that blue and go back over. But that's actually pretty good, I think. And I probably need more of the highlight blue too in here. So how are we doing, hon?
Good. We got a question about the tape.
About what?
About the tape.
Okay.
They wanted to know, do you have to wait for the paint to dry to remove it?
No. No, you do not. And it's better to remove it within 24 hours. So if you're doing this and you're, doing something else and coming back to it, I wouldn't leave it overnight. No, but one thing, using the fan brush because it'll just kind of help give it that kind of bumpy texture. I think that looks kind of like the ocean. Am I staying on camera? Yeah, okay. I added just white to this blue that we had going here. It's nothing new, nothing fancy, just a little bit more white to add some highlights to the water. And again, make sure that I'm keeping it horizontal. This should mimic the horizon lines, so. Okay, let's let that sit. Work on some clouds. This is dry enough. Let's go ahead and grab my 3/8 inch blender. I'm gonna get my zinc white, a little bit of titanium white, and some of my yellow. The zinc white just helps the titanium from being too overpowering. And let's go ahead and put in our sun here. It's going to be right in here. I'm using the scrubber. This is the 3/8 inch VelvetTouch blender. It's just going to allow me to put this paint on, scrub it into the canvas. Background should be completely dry for this. So yeah, I'm just going to use my finger to rub out those edges. There. Get a little bit more yellow, just straight yellow now. Okay, do that there, and then I'm going to do it in the water too. Same color. Okay. Now pure white right in the middle. And we'll just let that set. And we'll probably have to add that white a couple more times to get it bright enough. Go ahead and use that yellow, white, and start putting in the bottoms of my clouds. There's this whole large cloud system that kind of comes up at a diagonal up here, and some that are kind of down here in the lower area. Okay, and as they go farther away, it's not quite as vivid, so I'm going to get a little bit more than just the white. Tap, scrub tap. I'm not working with a ton of paint on my brush, but I have enough that I'm not having to scrub too hard. But just kind of the thing with clouds is to just go slowly. I think people get in a rush and they just load the paint on, and then you don't have anywhere to go. Once you've got that paint on there, it's just thick and kind of clumps up, and it doesn't give you time to, well, it just looks solid. So if you want them to look fluffy, you gotta leave a lot of airspace. Think about it, you know, just like less paint, more scrubby. Don't know if that made sense, but and I'm kind of sort of going by the picture, but I'm mainly just kind of doing what feels right here, so it doesn't have to be exact. I would say if you have trouble painting clouds and you're, you know, you kind of get a block or whatever, do really study the shapes, because what you'll tend to do is paint the same kind of clouds every time you paint if you're not really paying attention to what the shape should be, or, you know, you're not familiar with the natural shape of clouds, because they're not a big round ball like you probably have stuck in your head from when you were a child and you first learned what clouds were. And that's part of painting, is overcoming your mental images of things. Does that make sense? Like the things that you've kind of saved in your brain as a symbol for a certain thing. And a lot of times super common things like trees and clouds and hands and feet and things, you know, that you see every day. Those can be the hardest things to paint because you've got a really strong, already preconceived notion of what it's supposed to look like in your head. And if you paint something that doesn't look like a round cloud and you're painting this long string of blobs, your brain's going to start going, no, that's not a cloud. The cloud should be round. And you're going to start listening to that part of your brain instead of just paying attention to what you're actually seeing. So don't listen to what your brain is telling you when you're painting. Kind of got to disassociate from that and just kind of look at what you're seeing and just paint each individual part of the clouds separately, maybe to help you focus on what you're actually seeing. Because sometimes I know when I first started drawing, it's really hard for me to actually focus on layers and things. I couldn't really see the layers and things. I only saw it as a whole. And so I really had a hard time breaking down what colors were actually in it, you know, what I was actually seeing and what the actual shapes were and things like that. And so if you focus on just a small section of your image and don't really think of it as a cloud, just look at it as shapes and how is that box filled and what, you know, where is that? Like, that's why the grid system works so well, because it forces your brain to stop looking at things as a whole. It forces you to focus on a small area, and you can draw a line from here to here really easily. But it's somehow when you add from here to here and then there to there and then there to there, and you have this whole thing in front of you, your brain just can't comprehend it. It's just too much. So you have to just learn how to focus in on certain little areas of your image so that you can connect the dots and, you know, make a whole. I don't know if that made sense to anybody, but hopefully somebody needed to hear that today. I don't know. So,
what I heard is don't listen to your brain.
Right.
And so I'm living life right.
You already had that down pat.
Yeah, for years. Listen to your wife, not your brain.
That should be on a t-shirt.
And I'm still alive.
Yeah. Okay, I forgot the whole set of clouds over here. Let's get those in there. Let's get to talking about clouds and not actually painting them. Let's do it. So, just kind of, main thing I'm doing is picking up a little bit of paint, setting it down where I want the color to be brightest. So start there. So that's like on the bottom edge of these clouds mostly, because I'm painting in these bright yellow white areas of the clouds. So bottom areas of the clouds, and then pushing that paint around out from that and just spreading it out. And I haven't added new paint, you know, I'm just smushing it around. So you don't have to add paint and, you know, keep adding paint every time you're doing this. I still have paint on my brush, and it's way back up in here. So the harder I press, the more paint's going to come out on my brush. See, I can still get paint coming out even though I haven't loaded my brush. So, and just doing it this way. This is kind of a dry brush way of doing clouds. I find that it's easiest one of the easiest ways for beginners to learn how to do clouds. I just feel like it's really accessible. Some artists say it's cheating, but I like it, and I like the look of it, so. White here. And more white in the center here of my sun that's dry, so I don't want to do this with the paint wet because otherwise it'll just lift off what you've already got on there. Been there, done that. Okay, getting some of that kind of yellow that's less, got some of the white in it. My yellow-white mixture, make a little bit more of it. Add that around the sides, around that white. Okay, so I've got this kind of weird halo thing going on right here, so I want to make sure that my sun and my sky are melded. So I'm just going to kind of pull this yellow out over the top of this orange area. And if I need to, what I can do is add a little bit of orange to my yellow color there. Mix those together. Get some of that white. And just use that right along that border between the two. And some more of that white. And I'm just going to pull that color out from the sides and into my sky. See how that, even though if it's not the same exact color, I can still kind of use it and pull it out into my sky. And see how it, now it looks like it's part of my sky. And just use a little bit of that orangey color on the sides here, blend it into what I've already got. So now our sun looks like it's kind of belongs there. I'm going to go ahead and use this color, this bright orangey red in my water. On the outsides. Okay. I'm going to grab some of the Quinacridone Magenta and some of that color that I just mixed. What?
I'm going to say, so maybe we just paint a couple of feet in the foreground and be done.
Yeah, there you go. This mark on the beach. You'd have to have a margarita if it was mark on the beach. So.
True.
Okay, using some pink now. Going above the top of where I've already done these clouds. Just adding a little bit of pink. What?
I was just saying that the comedian we watched yesterday in that series who talk about flip-flops.
Oh, was she?
And all the different names in the world.
Uh-huh.
Because we will never have world peace if we can't agree on a name for these shoes.
I must have been in the other room when she was talking about that.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's great. That's funny. I need to go back and watch that. That's cute. Very true. I think she was talking about the death sandals. Got my death shoes on. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They only go one way.
They only go forward.
They only go forward.
You go backwards in them. Yeah, that was good. That was the comedy of 2020 on Netflix. So if anybody's looking, it was in there somewhere. We watched that last night and found a new comedian that we really liked. I have not laughed that hard in a long time. That was great. Okay. just adding, just slowly building up to these darker colors in the clouds. We've got some really dark colors in these clouds, but I don't want to go straight into those. I want to kind of slowly, gradually build up into it. All right, and this is a little bit more pink than what is in our picture too, so don't worry about that. We'll fix it. All right, I'm getting my blues, which were my sky colors, right? And I'm going to add that quinacridone. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some yellow. And what that's going to do is kind of make it gray. I've kind of greened it out though, too much. So I want more of the pink so that it's not green. I don't want it to be green. I want it to be kind of a purpley blue that's neutral.
We got a question about the water.
It's pretty close. I want a little bit more blue here. About the water? Okay.
They would like to know, how do they get the water reflections to look more natural?
Well, right now it's not looking natural on mine either. I'll get there. I don't know what to tell you exactly, but yeah, it's not. It needs to flow into the water right now. Right now it looks like it's pasted on here. So what I'm going to have to do is reintroduce the blues into it and kind of chop it up into pieces so that it looks like it's part of the water. Right now it's kind of looking pasted on. But yeah, that's...
It sounds easier than what I was thinking of, just taping a little plastic baggie of water on it.
What? I don't understand what you're...
Well, I mean, for real water reflections, just tape a bag of water on there.
Tape a bag of water?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Welcome to 2021. Oh, yeah, it's going to be that kind of year.
Oh, goodness. I'm going to go ahead and use this brown because I'm not getting the color I want. Brown. Let's add it to... I don't want it to be too dull, but it is not as bright as I have it here. Okay, that's better. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay. So I'm going to use the glazing medium because I don't want it to go on too dark too quickly. And don't worry about it if it doesn't look great at first, because it's really probably not going to look great at first. It's going to look kind of weird. But what we're going to do is put this on, and then we're going to blend it in with more of the light colors on top of it. And that will situate it down in kind of like what we were talking about with the water reflections. Gonna put it on, let it dry. Let it sit in there, and then you can kind of paint over it a little bit and make it look more part of the scene. So going just above and around the areas of pink that I already did. There's not a lot of these really dark clouds in here. There's just a few of them. So blue and brown, a little bit of Quinacridone Magenta. I added a little bit of yellow, but I don't really think you probably needed it. I ended up kind of painting back out those colors. So this is kind of just a purple gray. Okay, so got a lot of lumps of go ahead and get my brighter purple, or Quinacridone Magenta and Orange, and add it to this purple color here. That's my color that I was just using. And use this closer to the sun. And get some white. Mix that in because it's not as intense. I'm gonna wipe that paint off because I got a little too much paint right there when I first put that color on. It was too dark, so I'm gonna wipe that off because if I don't, it's gonna look too thick right there. I don't want that. Okay, so going back in here, kind of coming up underneath and on top of this cloud a little bit to blend them in. Okay. This is definitely a little bit more colored, saturated than what is in our image. It's a little more gray in our image, but I kind of like the pinker clouds, so I'm going with a little bit of artistic license here, adding some yellow to the colors that are already in my brush, and going up underneath and over the top of these bottoms of clouds here, blending them in a little bit. Sorry, off the camera there.
So when exactly are we planning to do our bonus video? Is
A
it
couple
next week?
weeks. Yeah, I think next week. Yeah. Why?
I was just wondering, just making sure it wasn't tomorrow.
No, it's not. No, I wouldn't do that to us. I don't do that to me. I need time to get back into this. Okay.
And what we're talking about is the Patreon bonus video for the $5 and above supporters. What are we painting? I saw the email, but
We're painting a winter train.
a winter train. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And then you start up your $10 group this coming Thursday.
Yes, we're painting a goat lamb baby. We don't know what it is, but it's something.
Goat lamb.
It's a Peruvian. It's in a Peruvian blanket. Well, I literally couldn't tell what it is. The image didn't say. It just said animal in a blanket, and so I was like, okay, well that's helpful. And then the internet is super not helpful because it's like look at their tails, and I'm like, it's not. It's in a blanket. I can't see its tail.
I will say she spent a good hour and a half, 2 hours.
I did
trying to figure
figure out if it was a goat or a lamb. I decided it wasn't a llama pretty quickly. But yeah, at first I thought it was a llama, but it wasn't. Yeah. So we're painting a mysterious. Well, and the thing that's funny is that like the title says lamb, the link says goat because I forgot to change the link after I changed the title so the title first said goat, and then I was like, I like the idea of it being a lamb more. It just sounds cuter. So I changed it, but then I forgot to change the link. So all the links say to go to the goat painting, and then...
Maybe it's a glam.
Oh, maybe it is. I like that idea.
Or
right.
load.
What?
A load.
What's that?
Well, it's a goat lamb baby.
What?
A lamb goat baby. A load.
Oh, got it. I'm trying to paint. Don't bother me.
So anyways.
Okay, just going through here, and this is fairly thick paint because I want this paint to really saturate here and show up. So I'm going in and painting some bright highlights underneath and on top of some of these clouds. And this should be the last layer that I have to add if I do this right. So what were you saying?
I wasn't saying anything. I was
No,
letting you teach painting.
Okay. You started saying something again. I can't remember.
Well, I was just going to flash up the link for patreon.com/AngelFineArt. Links down below the video. Check it out.
Right.
All that fun and more. And the $10 people get to pay not to hear me.
It's because I do it on Thursdays while he's at work.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have as much chatting, though. You know, that is one thing. So, because I can't paint and read. So I just kind of check it at the end. But it is smaller and more intimate, and we take our time with it. We have usually 3 or 4 weeks to finish a painting, so they're longer and more detailed. And my purple dried up. No, there we go. I reactivated it just in time. Yeah, so it's fun. The $10 group also gets to vote on what we paint in their paintings, so for their paintings. So that's nice. All right, white. It still has a little bit of that pink in there, but it's mostly white. Maybe a little bit of yellow. Barely touching this down, but I have a fairly good amount of paint on my brush, so it's coming off really easily. I'm not scrubbing it this time. It's really helpful when you're doing this too to kind of stop and look at it from a distance from time to time. So I have the benefit of the monitor. So as I'm working, I'm checking my work against what I'm seeing on the monitor, which is obviously a lot smaller, farther away. It gives me a whole, just a different look at what I'm painting. It's almost like stepping away from the painting. So while you're painting, I would say get into the habit of doing that frequently. Kind of step away, look at it at a distance from a different angle, and then come back to it as you're working, and it'll help you kind of stay on track. Just going to scrub in little highlights here and there.
Cam going on there.
Oh. Zoom in. Do you have to get closer?
Might be able to. Oh, yeah, I can zoom
I'm using kind of pink
in.
here. Much better. Look at that face. He's so cute. He's being so good too.
Okay, sure. It's just sleeping.
Oh. Got all the pets in the studio with us today. And they're getting along just fine. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think that's good enough. I'm going to stop there. I'm pretty happy with it. It's not perfect, but, you know, it's I probably could darken up the sky a little bit. So what I might do at the end is glaze a little bit of the darker blue on here, but I can't do it right now because this is still wet. All right, let's get, I'm going to get the 1/4 inch angle here, and I'm going to use this bright color that we were using in our sky here, the orange and Quinacridone Magenta, and go right up against the edge of the sunlight border. Add some of that on either side. And then I need to mix up some more of this watercolor. Blue, Phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, and burnt sienna. I still had a little bit of that orangey pink on my brush. Uh-oh. We spoke too soon about the puppy. Oh, he heard us talking about him.
Yeah, looking at him. He's over here now.
Uh-oh. He's gonna bark.
Yeah, he's up here trying to lick my face.
Mm-hmm.
We're going out.
Going outside? Okay.
Go to the babysitters.
So this is what I was saying about, you know, bringing that blue in. Just making sure that the water has these colors on either side of it, and then kind of mixing some of the combo colors of the blue and that orange together and bringing those out. It's not just like blue and highlight. It's the shine comes pretty far out and affects the water on either side pretty far out, even though it's only super shiny, like right in the middle part. This outer area here, the border between the colors, has a lot of that influence of those colors too. So I'm going to bring that out a little bit on all of that area too. There we go. And then clean this out and get my bright yellow, just the yellow. This is opaque enough that it should cover. If it doesn't cover, then I'll have to add. That's all right. I need to make sure I'm like getting it over here. I need to keep it in the middle here. I don't know why I'm going to that side. It's really kind of right in here. And then my white. We've already done this somewhat when we were first putting it on, but this is our kind of hopefully final layer here that we're really paying attention to. We need to get all of this done completely before we even work on our grasses and things, because they're going to be going over the top of this. So this has to be right before we start on that. And I'm just going to go ahead and bring out some of this random highlight just a little bit. Just the slight indication of some of this farther out. Okay. I don't know why I keep making it so wide down here. It's not that wide. Bring it in a little bit. Then you can correct it, go back and forth, just keep working at it until it looks better to you, and every now and then stop and just take a look at it. See if it's starting to kind of look a little bit more natural. And then like right in the middle there's a lot of that orangey yellow that's happening in the highlights. So I'm going to take this blue here and then I'm going to bring it across with this orange color. So kind of find where that dark blue is and then kind of follow it in so it looks like that is a continuation of the same line. Shadow. Okay, a better. Let's go ahead and work on our sand dunes. I'm going to get the short filbert, and I'm going to use pretty much all the same colors that we're already using. So get this kind of orangey pink salmon color, Quinacridone Magenta, and Cadmium Orange, and a little bit of yellow. And I'm just going to start laying in some sand dune shapes. Leaving the shadows in between. Just kind of laying in. And then this whole side of this thing is pretty bright right here. And as we go out, I'm going to use a little bit more of the pink back in here. The same colors as the sky reflecting in the sand. Sand is white or, ish, right? So it's going to reflect anything that's white or light colored like this is going to kind of reflect the colors around it. So it's going to reflect the colors of the sunset. We'll have these beautiful colors in our sand. Right, then I'm going to get that purpley color here, the light ultramarine blue, go in the transition between that dark and the highlight area. Just add a little bit of that dark back in. Grabbing some ultramarine blue as well. I'm going to use this color in my shadows of my sand dune on this side. And this is probably too blue. It looks a little bit like jarring, so I'm going to get a little bit of brown. Just add a little touch of that ultramarine or that burnt umber to the ultramarine blue, and that'll gray it out a little bit, make it look a little more natural. There we go. It's not very light over here. Pretty dark. So let's go ahead and grab that ultramarine blue and burnt umber. There we go. Go really dark. And this color is all kind of wet, so I'm just kind of blending it in. I need this really dark right here so that my get a good contrast when I do my grasses. I'm going to go ahead and kind of just flick out a little bit where the edge of my sand dune is right here. Just kind of building that up. This is also going to be grass all through here. I'm gonna add a little bit more of this grayed blue to these shadow areas. Sorry. This sometimes happens. This is part of the process of painting. Sometimes you think something's going to go a certain way. Like I thought that blue would work, but once I got it down, it didn't look right with the other colors in the sky. It just wasn't quite right. So by toning it down, it's going to help it. And I could even have used the same blue as the water, which might have been a better choice. So you just never know, you know. So I'm just going to kind of paint over that and start over, which is totally fine. Just don't really like what the colors were doing there. So I wanted a slightly different color because we're going to go blue against blue here. You know, you've got the blue of the water and the blue in the sand dune shadows here, which we could have just done brown, but I kind of like the blue a little bit better. Just adds a little bit more of a prettier tone, I feel like. I'm going to grab a little bit of that burnt umber, add a little bit more of that to this area in here. Darken this whole area up a little bit. I still haven't added my grasses. Once I do that, that'll really make more sense of what is happening over here. Right now it looks a little bit odd. I can add a little bit of the highlight color right in here. Right along the top of that dune as it comes down. Okay, better color. Kind of matches a little bit better. It's a little closer maybe to the cloud color too. I can use a little bit of that color, that purpley. Yeah, that'll work. So using a little bit of that purple that's from the sky color here in my shadow areas of my sand. Use it all up in here. burnt umber, burnt sienna. I'm sorry, burnt umber and ultramarine blue. Okay, let's go ahead and start on our grasses here. So I'm going to get ultramarine blue. Clean off my palette here. This is just a X-Acto knife scraper.
Yes, the
Get questions
scraping
about it all
time.
the time.
Yep, we've posted a lot of links to the Posh glass palette
That's what I use.
over in the Amazon store. Links down below the video.
Just try
Uh-oh.
not to. Okay.
We
I
need
got it so jammed full of paint I can't
We need
get
to
it
soak
closed.
that in some paint thinner.
Alcohol, get it out.
Hopefully not the good kind.
No. Rubbing alcohol. You're using your top shelf vodka for.
And it's only top shelf because I keep it on the top shelf.
Exactly. Okay. I'm gonna do something else before I start. Wipe my hand off, it's all messy. Alrighty. Here we go. So make sure that you've got your water and everything where you want it to be. My water probably could be a little bit lighter in some places. Trying to think how I would. Let me see. Maybe a little bit of pink. Just trying to find a good highlight color for my water here. That's pretty good. It's kind of pinkish purple.
Real quick, which brush are you using right now?
This is the 6 Filbert from the Summit series.
Gracias.
Thanks. Get going. I forget to mention it.
So I said thank you and you said thanks.
Mm-hmm. I don't want the lines to go too far, like they're not going to go all the way across. So, you can have these lines, but they do need to be kind of broken up into smaller sections. Like I had a line, dark line going all the way across there. It's really not going to do that necessarily, unless it's real close to this shoreline. Go a little bit brighter with some of this. This will also kind of help blend that highlight in a little bit. Make it a little bit less obvious. So I've got this weird kind of highlight going across there, so I'm just going to try to break that up with
I'd like to say thank you to everyone who sent us cards,
yes.
food, especially to those who sent food.
I'm wearing my new apron from Hawaii. Yeah. Thank you. Shannon sent it to me. And a bunch of other fun snacks and things from Hawaii and Spam. Thank you. Which is a Hawaiian delicacy, if you didn't know. We only know that because we watch that, what is that, Sunday morning, or one of those shows.
Yeah, and some of the Food Network cooking shows, they also talk about it.
Yeah, just like whole aisles of Spam in Hawaii. It's great. I think Mark said it as a joke, but so she sent us some. So thank you to Shannon. It's great. And Fitzpickle even got some toys, and we got ornaments from all the way from England, UK, from Lois. And
Here we got cards, money.
Johanna sent me something, some snowman too. Although I didn't put out my snowman collection, I did have a few out at least. The ones people sent me. I didn't put them out this year, just with everything going on. I didn't end up having time. We had the giveaway right before Christmas, and I literally was working nonstop up until we got our break. So, and then I decided I was not doing one more thing. I was done, and I did puzzles, and that's about it. Watched a lot of TV. Mark's gotten into Downton Abbey with me now. I think he started just watching it because I was watching it. It was on. Then he's like, "Why did she do that?" And I'm like, yes, I got him hooked. So, all right. I'm mixing what? Hold on.
Go ahead. You talk about.
I'm mixing the burnt umber, burnt sienna, and both of my blues right here to make this kind of a neutral gray. And I'm adding lots of water to it so that it's flowing off my brush really well. And a little bit of the glazing medium. Okay, go check. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's becoming a little predictable.
Don't diss me. Yeah, he wasn't happy when certain people died.
But what's her name? It's not Lady Grantham. What's the grandmama?
Violet? Is it Violet?
Violet, I think so, yeah. She's a hoot.
Yeah. She's my favorite character. She's worth it. She's worth all the drama and angst. It's been out forever, but it's been like 5 years since I watched it, so it's like I forgot enough of it by now that it's been fun watching it again. So, didn't really expect Mark to watch it with me. I just said he's usually in there with me, but he's usually on his laptop doing other things, so it's been fun getting to watch something with you.
Well, I moved the Xbox into the studio while everybody was here.
Right. Well, also because the dog destroyed the last one.
Destroyed the TV.
By knocking it off the bench that we had it on. All right, so just setting this brush down. I'm not talking about what I'm doing here at all, sorry. Setting my brush down, loaded fairly thick with paint, but barely touching. It's okay if it's kind of sticking together like this, as long as the outer bristles are separated. So I'm just setting it down and flicking it out. And if it's not doing this for you, then you either need to try a different brush or add more water to your paint. A lot of times it just doesn't do it because it's too thick. So try adding a little bit more water. I'm going to do some grasses down low here. And I want them nice and dark. They've got a little bit of color to them. I'm going to add a little bit of this purple too. I forgot I had this purple. Why not? I'll probably hate it, but we'll see. It's okay, so I added that thicker color, and so now I need to add more water because it's too thick. And the glazing medium just keeps it from under binding. It can, if you add too much water to heavy body acrylics, they can just like wipe right off the canvas the next time you paint over it. It's working all right. These are almost too thin. That's working okay. I need to get enough paint on my brush. That's why I'm using this larger one. Because if you had a thinner, smaller fan brush, you wouldn't be able to get it as tall here. And then you really won't be able to... I don't like that little bit of dark. There, let me see if I can get it off. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get nice and dark right here down low. Come on. There we go. And then I'm going to switch to my large brush here, this number 2 script liner. Use the same colors. I'm even adding more water because this really needs to be super fine. Then it has to flow off that brush really easily, just like ink consistency. So
has to be like Angela.
Huh?
Has to be like Angela.
What?
Super fine.
I walked right into that one. Yeah. Sorry. Don't leave me comments about flirting. That some people get really offended by your flirting for some reason.
I mean, we've only been married 32 years.
Right. I know. Why they...
I think we're supposed to not be flirting.
I guess so. I guess they're like, what? Get real. Not supposed to like each other at all by now. Okay, so I'm deliberately going in opposite directions of what I've already got going on here. It's going to make it look more natural. Crisscrossing, and these are going to be our main focal point ones, and some of them are really tall. And holding it as far back as I can, and then just flicking up with it. This is going to give us some good... Probably went a little too thick right in here with my... But it's all right. Too late now. I'm going to bend some of these over. And some of these I'm going to give a little bit of a grassy top. Just use my finger to kind of blend it out a little bit so it's not too thick. That area right there where I kind of got it a little too thick and wiped it off. I can just put one of those over there, so it kind of covers my boo-boo where it was a little bit obvious. Right, and then I'm going to grab some, I haven't used my unbleached titanium yet. Let's grab that. Maybe some of the yellow oxide. I've got some golden light hitting some of these. So I'm going to throw in some highlighted strands in here. And they're really not on this side because the light's coming from behind, so they're kind of in between. So I'll try to get them kind of in between. They're not going to be like really on top of that dark like I did right there. They're going to be in between the dark, so it's going to be these ones that are lit up, catching the sun out here. So if we get some that don't look right, I can just go back over that area with the darker. Do this on the other side too.
To remind everybody that down below this video, there's links to the brush guides and the brushes Angel is using. You can find there if they're in stock. He looks like they had a great holiday season.
Yeah, they did.
Thank you, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And also use the code Angela Fine Art, all one word,
Yes.
to get 5% off also.
Right, that's the only way they know to track our sales. So if we don't use that code, we don't get
No
credited
commish.
for the no. So, and plus you don't get 5% off, which kind of helps some with shipping and stuff. So. But yeah, we appreciate everybody that's used our links at Christmas and got some fun art supplies at the same time.
Yeah, I hope everybody got some good stocking stuffers.
Mm-hmm.
People were posting pictures of the brushes and stuff that they got from their
That's great.
loved ones and family. And I guess your family can be loved ones too, technically.
True. Not according to some. Stop flirting with your wife. Either you get that or you get people saying that they like your bedroom voice. I'm like, okay, creepy.
How you doing?
Yeah. Back off. This is my...
That's our the mixing board that helps get that voice
Mm-hmm.
in that announcer range. I sound like Alvin the Chipmunk in real life.
Right. I never really thought about your voice at all until people started talking about it. I'm like, I guess he does have kind of a interesting voice. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, I know Mary code for that.
I married you for your money. Everybody knows that.
I thought it was my knee-high tube socks.
That too. Those got thrown away real quick. I mean, I don't know what happened to them. Did they disappear? What?
There's a really good picture of them
Oh my gosh.
that you took of me,
Yes.
where you cut my head off in the picture.
But you see the socks?
Yep.
Socks came in.
Well, only because the socks were down by the flowers you were trying to get in the picture.
I remember that.
Back in the day before cell phones, so, I mean, it cost money for that picture to be developed.
Yeah. True that. I did that. Not proud of it. That was probably your first indication that things were my obsession with flowers was a little bit natural. Okay, you're going in here with the sand. Yellows. I'm just picking my places in between, and I'm kind of deliberately leaving some of the dark color showing through. It kind of gives it a little texture.
Well, it's the hills and valleys and the sand there.
Right.
You know, people walk through or whatever. You get those shadows.
Mm-hmm. So you just have to be careful because you're going to be covering over. You need to zoom out, hun. Thank you. There. You don't want to cover up your grass, so just kind of watch for that. I'm going to get some pink and wait, which I'm out of. There we go. We're almost done. We're getting very close. What time is it? Not bad for our first time around. I figured a couple hours, so that's about right. I used a little bit of the yellow oxide for the sand, so we'll grab a little bit of that. I'm going to go kind of on the down slopes, so kind of where they meet the shadow, where that yellow and the shadow meet up. Use a little bit of this. And then I'm going to use some of the color that is in our grass and just kind of shadow the bottom of our sand dunes here so that it hides where the grasses go down in the sand right in here. Sorry, gotta tickle my throat all of a sudden. I'll drink some tea. They're using that color of my grasses here.
And we recommend that if you are drinking while painting, that you have some kind of cover or lid on your drink. There's too many stories of people dipping their paintbrushes in their drinks.
I use
clean
a
them.
sippy cup with a lid. My adult sippy cups. Yeah, I learned a long time ago not to trust myself with a mug around paint. Okay, better. Sorry. Getting some burnt sienna. A little bit of that white. I'm going to use some of that color in here. Kind of hard because it's already sort of filled up with grasses. I'm going to use some of it. Kind of highlight some grasses in front here. Now these are getting the sun because they're being exposed by this open space here. Just going to kind of add a few random grasses there. Same thing over here, just gonna mess up this whole area here so it's not so smooth and looks like stuff's happening down there. I'm gonna add some burnt ultramarine blue. This ultramarine blue, it's got all these colors in it. I don't know. It's just all that purple, pink color. It's very close to the cloud color that we used before. So I'm just going to go back in here and darken up my little sand dunes. I'm going to get some of the light ultramarine blue and add some of that. In a couple places. Get a little bit of that yellow and my white again. I'm really going to kind of just tap. I want it to be kind of textured. Go right over the top of all these dark areas here. And just kind of lightly bringing that color down over the top of the shadow just to give it a little bit of a blend right there. Get some of that light ultramarine to add, soften up the shadow areas. Much better. Okay. I didn't leave myself enough room to work right here. I'm kind of disappointed. I should have brought this up a little bit higher because I really wanted more sand dunes here, and there's just not enough to be able to do all the ones that I'm seeing in the picture. So I just don't have enough room for it to layer them all in here. That's why I'm having trouble with this. I keep wanting to add them in, but there's just not room for them.
So at this point, would you just throw the canvas away and start over?
Yes. You're like, can't even.
All right, well then let me set up my Xbox real quick. If we're going to be here for a few more hours.
Alright, so I want this color because I don't have that color in my sand and I see it in there. I just haven't put it there. So what I'm going to do, since I've got my colors and my values kind of where I want them to be, I'm just going to go ahead and mix it up and glaze it on top of everything. I think that'll be, and by glazing I mean I'm just doing a thin layer of transparent color. Just like a glaze on a donut. And if it's not orange enough, which that one doesn't seem to be, I'm going to add a little bit more orange. See how that's warming that sand up? It's going to give it a better glow. A little bit more natural, maybe. And then I can go back in with my yellow again. Add just a little bit of that. Maybe some unbleached titanium and white with that yellow. The unbleached titanium will just kind of dull it out. You can see there's some of that orange in there too still. Just totally fine. Just gonna Sorry, I'm just going back and forth here trying to get this just right. I don't know why I'm spending so much time on it. It really shouldn't take that much time, but you know.
That's okay. I got nothing else to do.
Okay. You said you were going to get out your Xbox.
Well, if you were going to throw away and start over again, yeah.
Okay. Okay. fairly close. Let's go back in with this little golden yellow color here. And again, just kind of dabbing off around, rounding out those edges of those sand dunes because they're not harsh. Obviously, they're sand, so I don't want them to look straight. I'm happier with that. I wish I had made this area back here a little bit lighter. I'm going to try to get some light colors in there just by highlighting some of these grasses here, right along that edge. And right in here. And right along in here. We can also add some of the bright orangey gold to some of the grasses. Just right along in here. And really bring out the sunset colors. The ones right along the water there. They're getting a lot of the sunlight. That burnt sienna, Quinacridone Magenta, orange, white combo here. Okay, I'm about done here. Like that. I need a thinner brush really for what I'm doing here. All right, I'm going to call that good. One last thing we could do if we want to is glaze the top of the canvas with a little bit of darker blue. Might try it. I'm going to use a little bit of this purple color. And I Zinc White because I don't want to use the titanium white. That might be a little bit bright. A little bit of that. I'm trying to get the sky color that we did, but a little bit brighter than what we've got there. This will just, yeah. Lots of water. A glaze. Just darkening up the corners. Getting lint on there for some reason. Yeah, that's darkening up that sky just a little bit. Mainly at the very top. It's also gonna kind of haze out our clouds a little bit too. Make them look like a hazy day. I think I just got lint from my palette here in my paints, so not looking as smooth as I'd like it. Keeping it at the top there. Using the large brush so that it goes on quickly and smoothly. Doesn't leave any streaks behind. Very light touch. Okay, that's good. All right, well, hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Get some super chat. I'm gonna, while you're doing that, I'm gonna add some of these colors, the sand into the water a little bit. Go for it.
Super chat, the first one of 2021.
Yay.
As I
Very
say,
sweet.
we got a lot of great chatters. Only a couple super chatters. The first one was from Carol, and she says, "Glad you are both back. Part of my week had been empty without both of you."
Oh, thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol. And then Trixani, and a little emoji with "keep it up."
Yay.
I think it was about the time that I was flirting with you, so I'm not sure if she meant keep up the great painting or keep up the flirting.
Mm.
So we'll see.
We'll do
But thank
both,
you
hopefully.
very much.
Oh, thank you. Very sweet. Well, we're very happy to be back. I had a little panic yesterday, I have to admit, because I was like, oh my God, I got to paint tomorrow. But
How much sleep did you get?
None. I got zero sleep. I kept waking up, or I kept, thinking about what I was going to say and do. I hate when I do that.
How many years have you been doing
It's like
this?
the first day of school, honey. I'm.
Did you have your new shoes
my new
on?
teacher. Wait, I'm the teacher? Shoot. I am just adding some bright highlights of white here to really kick up this highlight in the middle here. You can do it to your sunlight too if you need it. If your sun's not bright enough in the middle there. Just added a few streaks of it to my thing there.
Sun, S-U-N, not S-O-N.
Right.
But yes, thank you very much to all of the supporters that we have
you
out
guys
there.
been
All
great.
of the Patreon supporters. Been incredible. Links down below for Patreon.com
Yeah, if anybody's interested in
/EnderFineArt.
our bonus materials, we got all kinds of different videos here.
Traceables and things
Yes,
like that.
traceables. So I'll have a traceable for this up later on today. I've got to make it. I used the finished painting and trace it.
And you get access to all the past traceables and all the past videos at that level that you're subscribed to. So it's not just this month's, it's all the
Right.
past months too.
Exactly.
And we have that. And then we also have over there on thankfulart.com, can set up with a newsletter.
Yes.
Keep in touch with what we're doing.
We've got lots of stuff that we share on the newsletter we don't share anywhere else. So we had pictures of our vacation time with our Fitzpickle and our grandson and the cookies we made and all kinds of stuff. Plus also just regular, painting info too. Not just that. But I need to. I wish I'd worked on that water a little bit more before I did my grass, because now I wish that I want to mess with it, but I don't want to. I can't really go too far because it's surrounded by grass. But get a little bit of that light orange color with my white. I'm just going to bring it out a little bit. I feel like it's just kind of a little too confined.
And a reminder, all the links to the Amazon stores for art supplies, brush guys, using those links helps support the channel. No
Yep.
extra cost to you. There's also links to all the social media down below.
At no extra cost to you. It sounded like you said extra cost to
No
you.
extra, at no extra cost to you.
Yes.
Just use the links. We get a commission credit for
Right.
that. And also there's links to Etsy, where you have some of your paintings for sale. You sold several of them over the holidays. So I think people got them for Christmas presents.
We'll have new paintings up soon. And we're hoping going forward in the new year we'll keep that a little bit more stocked up with fresh paintings. So kind of the current ones we've painted, we'll have them up more quickly. And if there's any paintings that we've done that you want to buy, just drop me a note and I'll see what we can do. Some of them are not for sale, but most of them are. So we just...
Yeah, like the tank is not for sale.
So many hundreds of paintings right now. We just can't put them all on Etsy. It's crazy. All right, I'm going to get a little... I just noticed something that I missed, and there's like a little sun cloud that's coming into my sun right here. That's a good little thing. I don't want to miss that. Kind of a neat little... It's on the other side too. I don't know how I missed that. I was so focused on getting the sun right, I didn't notice the little clouds coming out the sides of it.
Focus.
I was. That was what I'm talking about. Remember? We were talking about that. All right, there we go. Fun. All right, well, hope you try it. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll be back on Tuesday night. We're going to be starting that beginner series, and we're going to be going real slow on it. And we're picking very, very simple projects, but we're going to kind of build on the techniques. So we're going to just start with black and white, super simple, do some blending, do some line work like we did today, but we're going to go more slowly and really talk about how to set up your palette and how to mix colors. We're going to go over all this stuff. So in the series, we're going to do it all through every Tuesday in January and hopefully continue it through the year and until we run out of ideas. So until we cover everything.
Until you become an intermediate.
Exactly. So hopefully that'll help. Because we get a lot of people complain about, us going too fast. And a lot of times, especially on the Saturday shows, I don't go as slow because we're doing more complicated paintings. So this will be Tuesdays. We'll be going a little slower and explaining more in depth. So if you're brand new to painting, I would definitely suggest you watch those. All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. And we will see you next time. Bye.